welcome to another episode of Aligned, the podcast. Today's episode is a throwback, and this conversation was recorded back in March of last year, 2024. And it's a conversation with one of my absolute best friends, business partners, soul sisters. Her name is Ruby Jones. And Ruby is a 9D breathwork facilitator. She is also a 6-3 manifesting generator. And if you've ever had the pleasure of meeting Ruby, you know that she is just an absolute magnet. Truly, like one of the most charismatic and kind and gentle, but big energy women. And Ruby and I met living in Bali. So she's another one of my Bali gals, and she's still living there now. And yeah, we met serendipitously at a New Year's Eve party where we just ran into each other through mutual friends, had a really fun evening together, and then didn't see each other again for 6 months due to travel and not living in the same area. And then we bumped into each other at a coffee shop in Uluwatu. And from that day forward, Ruby, it's so funny because I remember myself just being like a little bit, it takes time for me to warm up to people and to just feel the vibes. And for her, it was just like instantaneous. She saw me again, remembered where we had met and spent time, and was like, "You're mine." And anyways, we built a really beautiful friendship together. Right around the time that we reconnected was actually when human design came back into her life, because she was going through a big transition. She had experienced another one of many extreme burnouts. She was working in the crypto industry. And while she was really passionate about what she was doing, the lifestyle, the output, everything just really set the stage for her to push and push and push and push until her body quite literally was forcing her to stop. And she kind of hit this point of like, what next? And how can I keep avoiding coming back to these same patterns? Because it was a repetitive cycle for her throughout much of her life. And around that time was when we reconnected. We did her human design reading, and she was getting ready to start a new job opportunity with a incredible business and product called 9D Breathwork. And Ruby will talk about that in today's episode. But 9D Breathwork is an incredible somatic breathwork experience. It's called 9D because it essentially layers 9 different healing modalities and frequencies into this masterfully crafted sound experience. And if you've been connected to us and with us for a while, you'll know that what we teach here is alignment. And again, what does that mean? Alignment is understanding that we are all here to walk our own unique path. How we walk that path is going to be different for each and every one of us. We have a set of codes. We have a specific mechanic, a specific operating manual to be able to take these vehicles and drive them down that path. And this is where human design is so valuable, because it can give you that operating manual. But then we have to ask ourselves, what is getting in the way of us actually walking down that path? Because we might know that we might have the map, we might know what direction to go, and yet we still get stuck. And this is when deeper work is needed, deeper subconscious work, because we've all been so conditioned throughout our lives to perform a certain way. There's expectations, there's standards, there's so much noise that we take in, right? It's the difference between nature and nurture. Nature being this blueprint, nature being us at our core, nurture being the influence of our environment. And that influence is so strong especially in our digital age today, where it's like we're constantly being bombarded with information about who we should be and how we should be. And it gets so noisy and distracting, and we get stuck. And we get stuck making decisions from our mind. We get stuck making decisions from that conditioning, and we lose sight of the path. So, how do we get back on track? Well, that's when we need to find a way to bypass the mind and come back to the body. We need to get away from the thinking monkey mind and come back to our intuition. And what 9D Breathwork, this company and this product, what they have done is created something that is so powerful in fast tracking that process using these various different modalities, techniques, technologies, binaural beats, solfeggio frequencies, subliminal messaging, hypnosis, all of these things like woven in to this experience. And to date, it is one of the most effective tools, practices, modalities that I have found to do exactly this. So Ruby is a pioneer. She works for 9D Breathwork, and she's a facilitator herself. This is why she's still in Bali, because this was created in Bali. The team is there. She hosts sessions in Uluwatu at an incredible venue called the Astana every week. So if you find yourself in Bali, I highly recommend heading to the Astana. Check out what they have there: ice bath, sauna, different events, and most importantly, 9D Breathwork with Ruby Jones. So yeah, excited to introduce you all to her. She shares a lot about her story and where she comes from and what her life has looked like in this manifesting generator body. And as someone who has so many different passions, who has such strong energy, Ruby is someone who has a fully defined system. So every single energy center in her body graph is designed. It's a lot of consistent output of energy. And so she's always been very clear on what she wants, and she has the motivation. She, left her traditional home in the Netherlands at like 18 or 19 and went out into the world, went out traveling, lived abroad, found her way to Bali, has done so many different things. And again, a lot of the struggles that she has experienced have come from fighting against her design, fighting against her true nature. So she shares about how she's overcome that, the different tools and practices that have helped her soften and surrender and lean into her mechanics. And we share at the end of the episode about our retreat. When we recorded this episode, it was, I think, a few months before our very first retreat. Since then, we have now run 3 incredible, successful retreats together, infusing all of this, the same concepts that I've already mentioned, human design, 9D breath work, and then we incorporate movement and functional practices, because this is not some woo-woo, hippy-dippy, la-di-da retreat. This is about transformation, and we take transformation seriously. And our job is to align you deeper to yourselves. And how do you do that? By understanding yourself, by unblocking whatever is getting in your way, and then aligning to the rhythms and the routines and the environment that are best going to support you, setting up your life in the most aligned way. So our next retreat won't be until 2026, but I will link in the description some details so you can stay up to date about all the different things we're doing. We also have mentorship programs, and yeah, it's an incredible community that we are building here. We also offer online 9D breathwork sessions. So if you don't have the opportunity of going to Bali and trying it with Ruby there, you can join us for online sessions. And I'll let you get into the episode now.
Here we are again. Attempt number 2. Yeah, let's be honest about that first, that this is attempt number 2. Our first attempt had to get trashed because the microphone setting did not stick, and it ended up recording on my laptop, which was an audio nightmare. And while our conversation was fantastic and I'm sure would have been enlightening for many of you, we decided to redo it.
Yeah, and B, like, credits to B, because she really tried to save it.
Yeah, B really tried.
Yeah.
B, our little investigator, our line one, tried her best, but it wasn't salvageable to at least our standards. So this is attempt number 2.
Mm-hmm.
How you feeling today, Rubes?
I feel like I want to test the audio. But we're going to have trust.
Yeah.
We're going to have trust. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather for the first time in 3 months. I've been going so high speed that now I'm being like called back a little bit. Yeah, but still feeling good.
The generator plateau, we call it, even for you as a fully defined manifesting generator, meaning every single energy center in Ruby's chart is defined, turned on all the time, consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean you're invincible. It does not mean you are Superwoman. Although, let me tell you, honey, you get pretty close.
Thank you.
But yeah, the plateaus will always come. Our bodies will always need rest. We will always need time to recalibrate. And the last 3 months here in Puerto Rico have been something else entirely.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like 2024 has given me more than 2 years combined. It's been insane. It's been so giving and feels so good that I feel like all these years in my life have built up to the past couple months, and all the projects and things that we've been able to launch in the past couple months. That's years of work, like underneath the iceberg, and now the tips of the icebergs, we finally get to like show that to the world. So
for sure,
it feels great.
And it's so cool to see all of the different things that you have done with your life as a true manifesting generator, as a true multi-passionate woman, right? You've done so many different things. And funny enough, even though it may not relate to what you're doing now as a breathwork facilitator, as a retreat host, but it all kind of weaves into this narrative and into the story and what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I would love to actually hear, what are the different passions of Ruby? If you go back to childhood Ruby, like what are all the weird little twists and turns that your life has taken you on? And you don't have to talk, crazy in depth about each one, but you've really embraced and allowed yourself to be all but one thing, right? You've been so many different versions of you. And for those who don't know you, maybe you can share a little bit about who you are and where you come from.
Well, I grew up in Holland. Mixed family. So my mom and my grandmother, they're South African. So I grew up speaking Dutch and English, like quite, bilingual. Not in the beginning though, but later on. And I was a horse girl. You hate this, but I love it.
I don't hate it. I love it. It just, it doesn't, I see you as you are now, and I have an image in my mind of,
the average, the average horse girl.
The average horse girl.
So I started out like that, and then I played football, like soccer, and I could just run around on the field, and I really loved that. I could just run around. I was really quick. I was really fast. And my favorite times at school was always like the gymnastics. We had gymnastics like 2 hours a week. My favorite time. Finally get to move. Oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, that was always my favorite time. And then jiu-jitsu came on my path. And for a very long time, I always said that I was one of the boys growing up. I always said that I was just this, I wasn't feminine. I wasn't girly. I didn't like glitter. I didn't like pink. I just had this image for myself that I was tough, that I had a lot of pride in the fact that I didn't need much time to like get ready. I did jiu-jitsu, very rough sport, very rough martial arts to do. It helped me. And the funny thing about it is, like, looking back, doing one of the roughest sports or roughest martial arts that there is, almost taxing on the body and the mind and everything. I became so confident in my masculine with that. I felt so safe, like I could protect myself in many situations, that it allowed me to soften as a woman. So the softening of me as a person started with jiu-jitsu, actually. And then it started with a breakup, and then the realization, like, hey, who said that I wasn't feminine? Like, who actually ever told me that I'm not a feminine woman? Or who actually ever told me that I'm always one of the boys? Who actually said that? Who actually said that I can't dance? It's like, wait a second, it was me. I'm like, okay. So if I was the one who said that about me, if I was the one who gave that definition upon myself, who casted that spell upon myself, guess what? I get to change it. So after the breakup, I had no idea who I was. I had no sense of who I was. So I was like, okay, great. Let's find out. Let's give myself the full permission to actually see, what do I actually like? Who do I actually want to be? And what actually feels good to me? And then I just allowed myself to do a bunch of different things. I went shopping with the most girliest friend that I have. I went shopping with her. I'm like, okay, dress me up. Like, let's see what actually feels good. So I tried all these different outfits, you know? And then I was like, wow, I really love this dress. And it was like a very, very slick, like feminine, like sexy dress. You know, I usually wouldn't wear that. I would wear more baggy clothes. And I was like celebrating myself and my body. I'm like, oh my God, I love this. Then I got my nails done for the first time, I got my eyebrows, and like, you know, just realizing like, oh, actually it brings me a lot of joy to have like glitter on my nails, you know. And you see me now, you know me now, I'm always wearing my hoops, you know. I always have my little bling somewhere, and I love it. And it was through that period of, you know, doing jiu-jitsu and then losing who I was completely, and then allowing myself to completely redefine who I am, and then try out all the different things, and then actually feel into what resonates and who I am and who I want to be as a woman going forward. So yeah, it was a lot of trial and error. Then remember that I said I can't dance. I said, you know what? I don't give a shit if I can't dance, yes or no. Like, I really feel like I want to dance. I've been feeling that since I was young. I was listening to salsa from a very young age. I'm like, you know what? I don't care whether I can dance or can't dance. I feel in my heart, in my body, that I want to. So you know what? I'm going to allow myself to dance. So I started dancing. I started going to Latin parties in Malta, where I was living at the time. I started dancing, and I love it so much. And I can dance, honey. Like, I can dance. But imagine I would have always stuck with that voice that said, oh, you can't dance. I still had the voice as I was dancing for the first time, and I was super stiff in the beginning. I was like, you know what? I don't care if I can't. I want to do this. So you're going to have to live with it. Even if I can't dance, I want to do this. So I did it. And all the things that I said I couldn't do, I did them anyways. I showed myself wrong. And that's the biggest, biggest blessing I could have ever given myself. Like, trial, error, do it anyways. And yeah, that's what shaped me to who I am now.
Incredible.
Still trial and erroring, by the way.
Yeah, and it will never finish, you know. And where you're at now will not be the end of the road, and there will be so many more pivots to come. But what's beautiful is, again, you're what, 27?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like all the different hats you've worn.
Yeah.
Horse girl, jujitsu, salsa, right? And needless to say, sister, friend, traveler. There's so many, again, different roles, different hats that you've played. But what's beautiful is that you've allowed all of those transitions to come about with such grace. And that's one thing I see so often with clients and with friends is, and especially manifesting generators, right? They try to restrict that part of themselves. Yeah. They try to fit themselves into that one box. Yeah. Because that's what society has often conditioned and said, oh, if you don't follow through with that, then, you know, you're a failure, or there's something wrong with you. Oh, you can't stick to one thing. You're all over the place. Oh, you have ADD, right?
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. And actually, it's through the embracing of all the different directions, all the different turns, that you basically get to take your life as if it is a blank canvas and color it with every single color in the rainbow, right? With all the different flavors, all the different shapes, all the different exotic pieces. And that's what makes you unique.
Yeah. Yeah, you're meant to. It's like with the reading that I had with you, and then when I overheard you having a reading with someone with the same profile as me, like the 3-6, like I realized you had already had the reading with me, which is funny. And when you said, like, Ruby, like a part of your journey is the trial and error, and you're going to turn into a role model from experience, but you got to allow for that experience to come through in the early years of your life, in the early stages of your life. And I realized that, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I hear you. Okay, I got to experience a lot of things. Like, okay, I don't have many years, but I have a lot of life in there, a lot of experience in there. But I didn't fully hear it yet until I heard you have a reading with one of our clients here. I won't mention his name, but yeah, you told him you gave him a similar advice, and I was like writing in the kitchen, and I realized, it's like, wow, the worst thing, the absolute worst thing someone with a 3-6 profile could do, someone that's meant to trial and error, someone that's meant to just have a lot of experience and then, go into that role model role, the worst thing that that person could do for themselves is be like a perfectionist, and is be trying to be smart, and is trying to make the right decisions according to their intellect. I'm like, that is the worst thing a person could do. And I realized, oh, fuck, I'm doing that to myself. So, and that, sometimes you hear one thing, and then it has this huge ripple effect. And that's one of the things one of the things you've told me that had a huge ripple effect. There's many things you've told me that have had a huge ripple effect, but that was one of them. Because I'm like, if you're literally built to trial and error, that means that comes with like a lot of falling on your face. It comes with a lot of times where you're like, according to society's quote unquote failing. It's like, are you failing if that very failing, that very stumble led you to the next step? You're not. So that in that I liberate myself a lot. I'm like, trial and error, baby. Just try. Just go. Just do it. Don't think too much. If I start thinking, I start doing. If I start thinking, I start doing. Otherwise, the thinking is just going to be thinking. It's like I start thinking, I get into my head. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, you know what? Boom, let's just go. Let's do it. And like he said, it doesn't even need to make sense. He said to me after his reading, I said, okay, I want to do this 10-day breathwork challenge. I want to breathe intensely for 10 days, 60 to 90 minutes, which is insane. If anyone's ever done any breathwork, 60 to 90 minutes a day is insane. But I felt like I wanted to do it. And then he said to me, he's like, Ruby, don't even explain yourself. Don't even start thinking, do it. And that just works for me. I don't need to intellectualize. I don't need to think about something. I just need to do something. I'm like, hey, I want to do that. That feels good. Do it. Before you start talking about it with yourself and with others, just do it. Get going. It doesn't need to make sense. Yeah, that was two of the biggest nuggets I have gotten in these months here. One, you explaining, hey, if you're a 3-6 profile, trial and error, don't be a perfectionist, allow yourself to fail. And then the other one from him, that was just like, just do it. Don't overthink it. Don't even explain it. If that's what feels right, if you want to do that, if you feel the energy like I want to do that, just do it. Don't even think about it. Just go. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. And that's one, like, it was a beautiful thing to witness, because especially with this challenge, you, as a fully defined energy type, right? Yeah. What you have consistent access to is your ability to do things, that life force energy. And when you can connect that life force energy with your response, with your sacral response, when you're lit up by something, you have that excitement, that drive, plus the willpower that comes and the motivation that comes from your defined ego. When all those things line up, you are literally unstoppable. And exactly as, again, our client had said to you, it doesn't always have to make sense to other people. For me, hearing that you want to do a 10-day challenge, I'm going to be like, God, no, I couldn't do that, because I don't have the same mechanics as you, right? Yeah. But I could see that all of those things switched on for you. And I had no doubt in my mind that you were going to accomplish that challenge, which you did, right? Because you didn't let yourself listen to what other people might say about doing something like this, or other perspectives, or you didn't let your mind step in and say, oh, but you have plans this weekend. How are you going to do it when you're traveling? No, you just did it. And you also recognize that, hey, if this doesn't work out, if for any reason something happens and I don't finish, well, okay, that's a learning process. I can reflect and figure out, oh, maybe why it didn't. But it's been so beautiful for me to watch as an observer these last 3 months, because I think the liberation of this part of you has been a huge part of your journey, here in Puerto Rico, because what you did realize was that for the last year or 2 years, you did start to almost put yourself in a bit of a box.
Yeah.
And even though you do know yourself so well, even though you've been on this path for so long, we're human. Just because Ruby has every energy center in her body graph defined doesn't mean that she is immune to conditioning. It does mean that she sort of has a force field around her that does block out the influence of others, but she's not invincible. And we will all be swayed in the direction that the world takes us to an extent. And you did what many do not in this sense, where you took a step back to reflect on, wait a minute, what's not feeling good right now? What's not feeling good in my body? What is this self-talk that I'm looping, and where is it coming from?
Who said that to me? I feel it's so important to be really, really careful with the role models that you choose. Because and often the role models are unconscious. It might be people that you hang out with a lot. It might be someone that you respect a lot, and automatically you start spending time with this person, and because you respect them a lot, you start to adapt their ways of being into your own way of being. But it is so important that you stay really, really close to yourself as your role model, according to your design and according to the things that work for you. Because if you don't, you get led astray. And in my case, I got led astray by someone that was very much into frameworks, very much into concepts, very inspirational, but very aspiring. That doesn't really suit me. I can't aspire to be a certain way. Of course, I can have goals by myself. And what I mean by I can't be aspired to be a certain way, it's like I need to feel into who I am and who I want to be and what I'm meant to be creating in this world. I need to feel into that. I can't think of that, And when I start holding on too much about who I think I should be or what I think I should do, and then something comes on my path that's not in line with that, I get blocked because I'm like, fuck, this is actually what's showing up for me right now, but I feel like I can't respond to it because I've made up in my mind that this is what I should be doing. And if I then hold on too long and too tight onto what I should be doing versus what I actually feel I need to be doing, blockages, boom. So a part of, for me, freeing myself is then taking a moment of reflecting when I feel stuck. Like, oh, am I aspiring to be a certain way? Am I in that denying of who I actually am, what I actually want to be, what I'm actually feeling? If yes, all right, let's stop that right away. Let's go back to what feels good. Let's go back to what feels right. With a big but. Because the only way to feel into your intuition and to know what feels right, I do need practices in place. And that's where breathwork comes in for me. It helps me to uncover, okay, what's someone else's, what's a role model that I've been following, what's all these external advices that I've now adapted as my own, and what is actually me, what's actually coming from me. Breathwork helps me to tune out the noise, tune out the distraction, tune out what I should be like, what I should be doing, and actually tune me back in very deeply, very strongly with me, my actual voice, my actual body, my actual path, my actual intuition, and helps me to communicate more in a more pure way with my God and with my guidance. Breathwork. I often feel like we say, oh yeah, follow your intuition. It's like when you're in a state of anxiety, it's like, how the fuck are you going to follow your intuition when you're feeling anxious as hell? You're first going to have to work your way through that anxiety back to a more peaceful place within yourself, which for me, ultimate tool is breathwork to help guide me back. And that's when I start communicating with my intuition, and once you learn to distinguish just the anxiety attacks or like the depression, the phase of depression that you go through, these different states of being with a state of peace, once you start to distinguish that, then you know when you're actually following and able to follow your intuition. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like so many things I can say to all of that. And I do want to dig in more on breathwork and your journey there. But before I do, I think you hit the nail on the head with what you were saying about having practices in place, but what happens when we intellectualize about life. What I want to make very, very clear is, and you've probably heard this, again, especially if you have been on the self-discovery path for a while, right? You've heard the phrase like, we are not our mind, or, we are consciousness and we are not our mind. And this is reality. There's so many different ways that you can explain this. But from a human design perspective, right, we are a vehicle, our body being that vehicle that is driving us through life toward our purpose, toward what we're designed for. And our mind is merely here to be a passenger within that vehicle, observing, reflecting, doing research, enhancing that experience. But what happens is our mind tries to sit in the driver's seat. Our mind tries to drive that car. And what the mind does is it attaches to conditioning. If you have any open centers in your chart, and even if you do not, it's related to so many other parts as well. Those themes. So for me, I have an undefined heart center. So my mind is going to attach to the conditioning that comes through my heart center. And it's going to tell me I'm not good enough. It's going to tell me that I have to prove myself to the world around me. And my mind will start to try to drive my car through that conditioning, which, as Ruby said, only is going to lead me astray. It's only going to lead me down, I wouldn't say the wrong path, because there's no real such thing as right and wrong, but it's going to lead me away from myself. Anxiety is a side effect, you can say, of conditioning and of the mind, again, trying to be in the driver's seat, trying to drive our lives and attaching to our conditioning. And if we are feeling anxiety, it's very, very loud often. It's very physical. It's going to be very hard to tune into what's right for us. And then it's also going to take us away from our strategy and authority. As a manifesting generator like Ruby, or a generator for anyone who's listening, right? Your strategy is to respond to life. That is the only way that you can know if something is right for you, right? Is if life shows up at your front door and knocks, you open the door, and if your sacral gives you that response, you know that something's right for you. But if you're living up in your head, if you are living in your conditioning and you're not self, you don't even hear the door knocking. Right? You're up in the attic with your face in books trying to framework your way into like the pros and the cons, or what's going to lead to the highest successful outcome, whatever that might be. And you're missing out on life that's happening around you and for you. And what's, again, been beautiful witnessing this journey for Ruby, as she started to peel away some of these layers, some of the intellectualizing, come back into her body that is, at this point in her life, meant to be a hot mess, right? Meant to be in this trial and error, experimenting with life. As she's come back to that place with, the help of certain practices and different routines and such, all of a sudden, it's like all of these opportunities that seemed like they were just floating around you, waiting for an opportunity for you to actually be in the present and be in your body and welcome it in. We were waiting for Ruby to sneeze. Then all of a sudden, it's like, wow, this is happening. This is taking off. This opportunity is knocking at your door. All of a sudden, we're doing breathwork sessions every single week in Puerto Rico. We have this community. We're meeting new friends. We're going surfing. But you had to be in your body. You had to be open to your life looking different than you maybe thought it would have at one point in your life in order to receive those beautiful things around you.
Yeah, I had to allow it in. I had to allow it to enter. And to allow it to enter, I first needed to get rid of all of the blockages that were holding me from allowing these good things to enter into my life. It's like one of the journeys that I was doing, one of the breathwork journeys that I was doing a lot was the abundance journey. It goes into self-worth. and it goes into feeling deserving of good things to come into your life. And then often like it links to maybe past experiences that we've had, like some traumas that we've had where we didn't feel like we were worthy, and then the breathwork helps me to release of those things, and then it got rid of those barriers so that I could actually allow things to come into my life in combination of letting myself, allowing things in. Again, I feel like a lot of danger in the spiritual world is in labeling certain activities or certain things as more spiritual as others, and labeling certain morning routines as more spiritual or as better, or labeling certain practices or certain places in the world even as more holy than others. And when we start segmenting, it can become really dangerous. Like there's so much, like honestly, I felt the closest to God when I was at the San Sebastian Festival here in Puerto Rico. Like it's a 3-day festival with music, and there's music on different stages all throughout the whole city of Old San Juan. And there's like bachata, there's salsa, there's merengue, there's like traditional music. Like it's incredible. And I allow myself to just like go there 3 days in a row, dance my how to say it, just dance my heart out, and not feeling ashamed or embarrassed, just like dancing full out with my friends. And I hadn't felt that alive and that close to God and life itself as when I was doing that. And yeah, I feel like a couple months before, I would have said, oh no, this is gonna drain my energy being around so many people. Oh my God, like if I'm around big crowds like that, that's just gonna drain me out. I'm a manifesting generator with all my energy centers defined. Like I'm not gonna get drained out by my environment like that. You know, that is just simply not true for me. So yeah, allowing myself to just live fully, and in that feeling like dancing out on the streets is just as much as a spiritual experience as when I was meditating for Vipassana 10 days in a row for 10 hours a day. Just as much of a spiritual experience, just as much of a communion with God. And yeah, it's been beautiful.
So you mentioned an abundance journey.
Yeah.
You mentioned these breathwork journeys. What exactly are you talking about?
Oh, so there's a man named Brian Kelly, and he has created something very potent. And yeah, he's been my teacher, and he's been my boss as well. I've been working for them. I started working for a company named 90 Breathwork and Breath Masters over a year ago in sales. And yeah, you know, whenever I'm selling something or whenever I go into a new job, it's important that I really know what they do. So a part of my onboarding was literally doing one of these and try out one of these 90 breathwork journeys. And I've done breathwork before, lived in Bali for a couple of years. I was like, yeah, breathwork is nice and relaxing, you know, okay, I'll do this journey. And I literally had it on my checklist for that day. This was my first week, my onboarding week. I had it on my checklist. I'm like, okay, I'll take out 2 hours to just get this done, and then I'll move on to other things. So I went home to go do this. I told my manager, I'm like, yes, okay, I'm going to go do this journey. He's like, all right, good luck. I'm like, what is he talking about? Good luck. And he already said, like, if it's too big of a journey, like, just let me know. I'm like, what do you mean, too big of a journey? I'm like, okay, whatever. So I put on this 90 breathwork journey, and basically what it is, you can compare it to a very, very deep meditation, but like 10 times deeper than meditation. And you put on headphones, and 90 refers to 9-dimensional layers. So it will have music, like surround sound, it will have healing frequencies, it will have subliminal messaging, it will be a voice guiding you, just like with any guided meditation. It will be affirmations in the background, and yeah, you'll be active breathing, like doing an active breathwork exercise for like an hour. So the breathing, like the way that it sounds, like you're breathing in through your mouth, and it's just like so that's the speed that you're going in through this whole journey. Then what starts to happen is you tune deep into your subconscious. Like your monkey mind, your prefrontal cortex slowly start to like shut off. It goes into like sleep mode and you tune into a deeper state within yourself. So yeah, it's like with hypnotherapy, it's like different similar states you reach with hypnotherapy and so on and so on. And in that state, you're able to rewire your subconscious and you're able to become aware of blockages and things and traumas that have been holding you back. And you're able to somatically release these things that have been stored in your body out of your system. So wow, it's super potent, super powerful. Not sure what else to say about it. Yeah, Erin, take over the mic.
Yeah, breathwork is something that absolutely has changed my life, and I put it at the top of the list with human design. Honestly, those two things, without a doubt, have had the greatest impact on my life. Because as you said, right, we store trauma in our bodies, and we're all human beings. So even if it doesn't matter where you come from, what family you're born into, there are always going to be things that happen in our environment and in the world around us that impact our subconscious beliefs about what we are worthy of and what we deserve, right? And that sticks with us. And we carry that into our adult life. And that is why so many of us end up repeating the same toxic patterns over and over again, whether it's in relationship, whether it's dynamics with coworkers, in our career, we hit these plateaus or we get stuck and we seem to just run up at the same walls over and over again. And it's because we're still harboring all of these subconscious beliefs that, again, we're not good enough, or we can't trust the people that we love, or love is painful. We can't rely on the people around us, whatever that those stories might be. And because they're subconscious beliefs, we can't consciously access them. So it's not something you're going to be aware of. You're not going to know that actually this thing that happened when you were 6 years old is still carrying with you in the story of your life. And what breath work does is this specific modality of breathing, and 90s specifically, we like to call it the Ferrari of breath work because it's basically supercharged breath work. What it allows you to do is, as you said, shut off the monkey mind, the conscious thinking brain that's in the driver's seat and does not want to let go of the steering wheel. It shuts that off, brings our subconscious to the surface, and with that process, we're able to see what these wounds are, the scars, the things that are holding us back. And part of my story very much has been a reclamation of my own vulnerability. And I'm an emotional projector. So I am someone who is emotional by default. I have consistent access to my emotions, moods, and feelings. And when I was very, very young, I remember being incredibly emotional. I was always crying over the food I didn't want to eat. If I didn't want to wear something, like I was the quote unquote dramatic child. And life began to show me, and it's no one's fault in this, right? But my experience, my journey, my karma, I was shown from a very early age that being emotional was far too painful for me to be able to handle. Over and over again, I don't know how many times it felt like my heart was breaking. And by the time I was 8 years old, I think I had pretty much shut that entire side of myself off. I became what I used to call the ice queen. All of my friends in high school, in middle school, like they knew me to be this like cold, no one can touch me, cool, calm, and collected version of Erin. And I began to believe that because I thought that is how I needed to be in order to be okay, right? And as I then transitioned into this phase of healing and self-discovery and realizing that, hey, I don't want to continue to repeat these same narratives anymore. I want more from my life. I don't want to just burn myself out at a corporate job. I don't want to just follow the standard 9 to 5, get a promotion, buy a house, white picket fence, family. Like I didn't want that. And in order to break free of that, I had to start going within and start looking at these stories, looking at these wounds. Breathwork was the first thing that was able to open me up in that way. And I tried a lot of things. I tried hypnotherapy with a world-renowned hypnotherapist in Bali when I first quit my job and moved out there. And I remember lying on that table being like, this is BS. This isn't doing anything for me. I walked away not getting anything out of it. And then I did my first breathwork session. And it was a one-on-one session with a friend of mine. And very quickly I could not believe the memory that came to the surface. And it was at a church retreat when I was in high school. And it immediately brought me back to this connection that I had. And I won't tell the whole story because it's long. But my best friend for a large majority of my childhood life. This was a friend to me. It was like a soulmate friend. We spoke a different language when we were together. Every time someone was around us, they felt left out because we were just in our own little bubble. And when we turned 14 years old, she started to lose herself to addiction and self-harm. And she was someone who was such a ray of sunshine, but beneath that sunshine was a lot of darkness. And she never had any way to process that. She never had any way to move through that energy. And it became too hard for her to bear. And that led her down a really dark path. And this breath work tuned me into this weekend, which to me it was one of the last times that we got to spend together. Without distraction, without everything else kind of lingering over us. And shortly after that, our relationship was never the same. And she passed away a few years ago, a drug overdose. And what released during that breathwork session, I was mourning, I was grieving. It was like the floodgates finally opened. And I wasn't mourning her death. I was mourning the loss of that friendship, that profound loss that I experienced at age 14 or 15, that I never let myself feel. I lost someone I loved so much, and I just put one foot in front of the other, because that's what I did. I didn't let anything touch me. It was fine. Everything was fine. And that was a huge pivotal point. And I really have breathwork to thank for that. And since then, there have been so many other layers that I've been able to start to excavate and let go of. And the beauty is when you can release stored emotion from your body, you release it. That's baggage I was carrying around for 15 years of my life, 10 years of my life. And I got to let it go. And it was a literal weight off of my chest, off of my body. It was energy that I didn't have to carry anymore. Heaviness I didn't have to carry anymore. You do things like that. You do activities, you do practices like that. Life is never the same. And again, it connects you so much more deeply to your inherent, your core being, your essence, your intuition. It allows you to live your design so much more effortlessly. And now you are facilitating these journeys, and I've been able to be alongside you for these last few months as your little angel, and the lives that you've been able to touch, and the releases that people have been able to have at your hands has been, it's like a miracle to be able to see. And every week we're doing this. How has that been for you, that journey as a facilitator, and being able to, of course, we are our own healers, and with breathwork, we're able to unleash this for ourselves. But I've done breathwork with other people before, and have, like I said, had a light meditation. My deepest experiences, I've been able to get there because of the incredible facilitators that I've had.
So your question is how it's been for me.
Yeah.
I'm very humbled by it. I'm very humbled by it. It's a path. I never thought I would be a facilitator. I was angeling for Brian, the creators of the journey. I was angeling for him, angeling meaning assisting him during the sessions. Because during sessions, you sometimes have like 10, 20, 30, 40, or in Brian's case, 100 people. And it's good to have extra hands there. Because people kind of releases during these journeys, releases just be crying, for example, and then it's really nice if you have someone there to hold you. So that's what angeling is. And, you know, I was working for his team. I was really proud to be part of a movement that's had such an impact on me and my friends. And yeah, I didn't ever feel the need to become a facilitator until my experience deepened. And yeah, it brought me closer to Source, brought me closer to God and honesty. And then I felt that desire, or that calling actually. If I say desire, it's a lie. The calling, like, okay, I need to step in and become a facilitator, because my desire was not to be in the spotlight. My desire was not to be speaking in front of people. That was not my desire at all. But I realized, like, Ruth, it's not about you. If you claim to want to be of service and of light to the world, then you gotta answer the callings that you feel. So it's like, oh God damn it. Okay, all right, well, we'll do it. You know, let's just try it out. So yeah, the human in me doesn't always freaking enjoy it, because I'd rather be in the background and I'd rather not be in the spotlight. But then another part of me feels so alive and so humble being able to guide people on these journeys. And nothing has ever felt more natural to me. It's something that comes so natural. It's something that comes from my feminine heart. And in a world where, a man-made world where, as women, we have been trained to be boss babes, it's very, very beautiful to get to tune into my feminine, my nurturing side, and guide people through these journeys, and then to see the lives that are being changed every week, every journey. Yeah, I don't have words for. Don't have words for.
It's special.
Yeah.
It's really, really special.
Yeah, it's sacred. It's almost sacred. Yeah. You know, I don't really talk about the journeys much at all either, because I just feel like it's such a private and intimate space that I don't really like to talk about it. But I do like to talk about it enough so that the people that are going through it or have been trying all the things, get inspired to try it out. I'm very, 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 very tired of the spiritual world trying to tell you how to think more positively, or do this or do that, or even like meditation has been such a medicine to me. I have a lot of respect for meditation after doing, the Vipassana 10 hours a day for 10 days. I have a lot of respect for meditation. It's been an incredible tool for me. However, just to tell people like, oh yeah, just think more positively and meditate and you will find yourself. I'm sorry, but no. Maybe especially people like me with my energy type. I'm usually the type that needs to move. You saw that this morning in the meeting that we had. I had to shut off my camera so that I could just walk around in order to stay concentrating on the meeting. I can't sit there and like listen and look inside the camera. That kills me. That drains my energy. So shut off my camera and I was just like moving around, doing some stretching, blah, blah, blah. That's how I get to concentrate. That's how I get to access my state, the state in which I'm able to listen and concentrate. So same way as I'm very tired of a lot of spiritual practices just teaching you how to do your affirmations, think more positively, and just sit there and meditate. It's like, no, sometimes we need to release some shit out of our system, out of the core of our being, out of our subconscious. Sometimes we need to release, scream, cry, move, let it out in an active way in order to then tune into the deeper layers and the deep peace within ourselves. But trying to like just get to the state of peace, trying to like get to a state of peace or a state of positivity while not getting to actually release the deep things that are inside of us that need to be screamed or cried or moved out of our bodies and our subconsciousness. I feel it's not possible for everyone to just go from not feeling good and feeling good, but feeling out of touch with themselves, or feeling out of touch with life, or feeling like they're just a shell of a human and not really feeling anything, you can't tell that person, you couldn't tell me when I was that person, like, oh, just sit and meditate, or oh, just think more positively. No, I had shit to let out of my system. I had shit to move through. I had darkness to face. I used to say, oh, I don't have any traumas, because I didn't have any big T traumas. I didn't have any bigger traumas. I have many little traumas that have happened to me. I had to release those out of my system. I had to face those. I had to face like the deep-seated insecurities that lie within me. I had to face the deep insecurities I had about like my father abandoned me as a child. He never abandoned me, never actually did, but I always was scared that he would. Right? Like all these little things. It's like, or like the small moments in which you did, but or like the things with my mom, and I love my parents both very much, but it's inevitable that traumas come your way, and that you observe things as a child, like without releasing those things out of my system, I would have never reached the state of peace that I've been able to reach, and that I continue to be able to reach and cultivate within myself today. So yeah, my takeaway message is, I don't like to talk about being facilitated. I don't like to talk about what effect this has on people. But what I do like to do is talk about it just enough to inspire the ones that feel like they've been doing all the things and nothing's really working for them, or they feel like there's just more to this life. I do like to talk about breath, to let them know, like, hey, if other things haven't been working for you, this is something that really worked for me in a very active way. I was someone that couldn't meditate, now I can, but first I had to go through breathwork. It's just a stepping stone that really helped me to shed layers, get some shit out of my system, face all of me, the darkness, the negative, all of the parts, embrace it with love, self-compassion, and the recognition that all of those events have led me to where I am today. Breathwork helped me to do that. So yeah, if you are someone listening now and this resonates with you, try it out. It may work for you just like it did for me.
Yeah. I think it's something, and what's beautiful with breathwork is everyone can do it.
Mm-hmm.
We all have our breath, and you don't have to pay $1,000 subscription to everything.
Yeah.
And that's my qualm with therapy also, is you can talk about something until the cows come home. But if you're not moving that energy, if you're not tapping into the body, if you're not working with somatics, you're going to stay stuck up here.
Yeah.
And that's the mind. That's the mind. And also, the mind is not bad, right? By saying that we are not our mind and we need to quiet our mind. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing that we need to turn off, right? And some of the spiritual practices sometimes make it sound that way. And that's not the case. We need our mind. That's the only reason we've been able to achieve what we've achieved as a species and gotten to where we are now, for better or for worse. But we need to allow our minds to do what they're supposed to do, which is just be the passenger. But again, what happens is we experience pain, we experience trauma, and the mind steps in to protect us, because what we've experienced is that the people that were supposed to protect us didn't protect us from the pain that we ended up feeling. So the mind steps in and says, okay, I'm taking over now. I can't trust anyone else. I'm doing this. And the mind latches its claws in so tightly that we need practices that can loosen the grip. And
that's something I always say in the introductions as well for my breathwork journey. It's like when the mind comes into play and tells you things like, hey, tells you like, oh, I need to cook dinner later on, or tries to distract you in many ways. My invitation is always not to say like, oh my God, I can't even concentrate. Look at me. I'm trying to do this breathwork practice, and I don't even have the willpower enough to keep my mind. Like that's exactly what we're trying to get away from. It's not making any part of ourselves like this bad part of ourselves that must be destroyed. It's about embracing it and saying like, hey, listen, thank you for this suggestion, but no, actually, come back. Come back. We don't need to be thinking about this. We don't need to be thinking about that. And when the mind comes like, oh, I'm not worthy of love, it's like, hey, come back. Thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. But I got this. I got us. That's how I do my best to speak with my mind, or the thoughts of the saboteurs, or the other parts of myself. Like, hey, thank you. We got this. Shut up. Love you. Shut up. I'm the voice. I'm taking you. All right. Come. This is who we're trying to be in the world. I remind myself. Let's go there. So not about, as we create awareness, a big sad thing we could do is like we create more awareness of things and darknesses and things within ourselves, and then we become very mean about those things that we become aware of. But it's about the opposite for me. It's about gaining new perspective on other parts of ourselves, gaining new perspectives of the people in our lives, gaining new perspectives of what our parents did and why they made the choices that they did, why our upbringing was where it was, gaining more perspective as to become more understanding, and as to be able to show up with more love for the people in our lives, for the darkness within ourselves, for the things, the positive events that we've been through, because we're now from this large perspective able to see, like, hey, that's actually where it brought me today. Instead of being like, oh my God, that happened to me, and it's that person's fault. That's not the reason why you're being shown things of the past. That's not the reason why you're gaining bigger perspective. Bigger perspective, in my opinion, for me, is to be able to embrace more parts of myself, more parts of my past. As an adult now, or trying to be, like as a person with more perspective now, and trying to embrace all of it, not trying to deny any of it, not trying to suppress any of it, trying to have it come up, and as well as I can observe it with love and presence, and show up for myself in that way. Yeah. Also, you said something. You were doing that, and I really want to laugh. You said cows. Talk to the cows. Come home, and then you said moving, and all I could hear was moo. Yeah.
It doesn't take much to entertain Ruby.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh my God. Yeah.
But that's one thing we're doing very differently here at Align, and Ruby's actually going to be involved with this, which is very exciting. But what I love about human design, right, is it is a system of understanding, so that we can logically make sense of our design, our mechanics, the way we're here to move around in the world. But at the end of the day, it's still just information. Yeah. It provides you with the tools, it provides you with strategy and authority, which is all you need to move around the world in the way that's right for you. But it doesn't provide the support to say, all right, what do we do with all this baggage carrying that's keeping you from living your strategy and authority? And that's what we're doing differently here at Align is what we want to provide and equip all of you with are these actual practices, modalities, resources specific to your energy type, right? Because there are breathwork practices that are going to be better suited for sacral energy types than for non-energy types, right? There will be some people out there saying, hey, you need to be meditating for an hour every day and breathwork every single day and doing X, Y, and Z. And for some people, based on their mechanics, that might be fantastic. For others, it might be very detrimental. Bless you. And so what we want to provide is the tools and resources that can help connect you back to your energy, back to your intuition in a way that's going to be supportive of you and your energy. And so what Ruby's actually working on for us right now are carefully curated breathwork practices. For right now we're working on the sacral energy types, but breathwork practices to be able to connect you back to your sacral, back to your authority, back to that ability to respond to life, to get out of the mind and into the body. And that might be a 5-minute practice that you do every day, or when you are feeling frustrated. And so these are all really exciting things that we have soon ready to be released to you all.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it, because the last thing I'm interested in is telling anyone what they need to be doing. I'm not interested in that. People only know best for themselves what they should be doing.
But what we do need in a world with so much distraction is, like the tools and the guidance on finding that innate wisdom within ourselves and tuning back in with that innate wisdom for ourselves so that we can be our own guides, our own role models. But that's my main thing. Yeah. I'm so tired of you should be this, you should be that, you should be this, you should be that. No, thank you. Like, I feel you were about to say something.
It's funny because you have innocence motivation in human design. So the people who are, I would say, more on the nerdy spectrum of human design, maybe been studying for a long time because motivation is a bit more advanced. Innocence motivation is exactly as you said it. It's sitting on top of the hill, doing your own thing and not getting involved. In order to get you involved, it's like pulling you off the hill. But that's how you're a role model, is by not telling people what to do. By doing you and finding what works for you, and living your life, and people get to observe and be inspired and empowered by that. So I just wanted to add that tidbit because whenever I see people that are really aligned with these aspects of their design, it just makes my little heart melt. Because you can feel it. What that impacts is the vibration that you emit. If Ruby got on this microphone and started saying, this is what you need to do, let me take you here, I know what you need, right? That would not land. That would not resonate because that's not her motivation. That interferes with the vibration that she emits as someone with innocence motivation, as a role model, right? So very beautiful to see that. And I think that what you're doing and how you're operating and living is inspiring. I'm inspired by it. Not because I want to do what you're doing, because you're showing me that we can all find our own way. And what we're creating are tools to allow people to do that. To become their own gurus instead of looking outside of themselves for them. So I feel like we could talk for hours. We didn't even talk about the retreat. So maybe that will have to be another time because I guess that's our other baby, our other creation is combining the magic of human design and 90 breath work and somatic movement, yoga, embodiment, right? Into these small, intimate containers for profound and deep transformation, right? To basically walk into the shadows, walk into the darkness, dig up all that ugliness, the heaviness, the traumas, the stories, and let it all fucking go. Right. And being able to understand your operating model, understand your mechanics, your roadmap, so that you can stop looking at everyone else to tell you how to do things and come back to the wisdom within. So that's our basic, like that's our supercharged creation that we're building now for maximum impact, right? Yeah.
It's one thing to do a breath session once, it's another to do it over a 6 period where you don't have to think or focus on anything other about yourself, where everything's taken care of, where you're next to the waterfalls in Portugal, and where you get human design guiding and coaching at the same time. Wow. I can't wait. Yeah.
So that's the reclamation retreat. We will tag details in the about section of the episode. If you want to learn more, you can also reach out to us directly. But I guess one final question for you, Ruby. What's exciting you right now? What's got your sacral lit up?
The friends we're meeting later. I'm very excited. There's been arrived to Puerto Rico almost 3 months ago, and through the breathwork session we got a really beautiful community, and we're having dinner together tonight. Some of these people that have changed my life and their life have been changed through breathwork and through every session that we've been holding. So I'm very excited for that. And what else am I excited for? Honestly, I'm just so excited for Portugal. I'm seeing it come together. You know, the first people that are signing up. We only have 10 spots available. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm very excited for Portugal. Very, very excited. I don't know what else to say about it. I just know how potent it's going to be, and it's going to be really, really good people already. And I'm excited for those bonus people that none of us know yet, because now it's most people from our network. I'm excited for those bonus people that will be attracted to the retreat that don't know us yet, and will know us very well, and will know very well after those couple of days together. I'm very excited for that. Yeah, it's lighting me up.
Me too. I can't wait. It's like we are about to enter this new chapter, and we're so surrendered to not knowing what's coming. And I'm here for it. I'm so excited too. So without further ado, I will end this lovely conversation. But I hope that all of those listening who made it this far have found some inspiration and empowerment from Ruby. She's a little powerhouse. And it's been such a treat having her around and just sharing this wild ride. And as always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And if you would like to learn more, you know how to find us.